Hi, welcome. So for this video, I'm going to show you how you can use GeoGebra to analyze data. So now for this particular video, I have three different scenarios. The first scenario is when you have a frequency table. Okay, so this is the number of hours a person goes to the gym in a week, right? And the frequency, okay, how often they go 0 hours and 1 hour and so on and so forth, okay? The second scenario has, you're going to do regression model, okay? It's a two variable statistics, and we're going to compare two graphs, okay? And the third scenario is just three different single variable data, and we're going to see how the data are similar or different, and we're going to analyze that as well, okay? So let's look at the very first one. So when you go into GeoGebra, which I'm going to go into a second, okay, you will want to copy all the data from either a Google Doc or from a spreadsheet. Okay, so we're going to probably copy all of that. Now let's just say I decide to copy everything at one go, okay? Now highlighted everything, Command C. Now I'll go to GeoGebra, okay? On GeoGebra, we need to put it on a spreadsheet. If you don't see this little menu here, okay, let's say for whatever reason that doesn't show up when you open GeoGebra Classic 6, you can also get that menu from this little menu button over here, okay, and click on those three dots, okay, and it'll also show up there. For whatever reason, if you cannot see that menu there, okay, if that's not even visible for whatever reason, click on this hamburger on the top. That's the overall menu. And from there, sorry, and from there, select view, and you will see a spreadsheet there. So what is algebra and graphics then? Why are those two checked? So algebra is this window over here, right? This panel over here where you can input equations. And then graphics is this window over here where you can actually see the graph. If we take that out, all we have is just the algebra window, and then, or we can have the graphics view, okay? The spreadsheet. Now we have the spreadsheet view, and then you can have it or not have it. So it's all these are like panels, and you can have these panels or not have them, okay? So I'm going to have the graphics algebra because I'm going to be using the graphics view when I do the two variable statistics and the regression, okay? Right, now I'm going to come back and click anywhere on any cell on the spreadsheet. So there we go. Now, if you remember, I highlighted everything and copied it. Now let's say I go to the spreadsheet here, just select A2, and I say Command V. Well, that didn't work out very well. Why? Because it combined all the data along with the frequency into one big column, okay? So I'm going to delete all of that. So select Shift down arrow key, delete. So all of that's gone. Come back over here and go column by column. So Command C, back to GeoGebra, and Command V, paste, and then back, highlight, down arrow key, Command C, copy, back here, paste. Okay, I'm going to call this, I'm not going to call this X. Okay, the minute I call this X, you'll see a big line showing up over here. I'm just going to call this, what was this, hours? So I'm just going to call this H. Okay, and then I'm going to call this F for frequency. I want to analyze this data. So I need to select it. If I don't select it, and if I have my cursor in some cell and I just go here and I say one variable statistics, you'll get nothing. It'll just get one data point. Okay, and that's not what we want. Okay, so I'm going to go back here and highlight all of this, okay, both the data and the frequency, and go back over here and say one variable statistics, and then voila, you get your graph. Okay, so let's have a look. Whenever you have a graph, you want to be sure that the graph is actually your data, right? So zero is for zero. They went to the gym for 0 hours twice that week. Okay, so that doesn't seem right because zero, there's a 5. Okay, and why? So what happened there? Because it's a histogram. Okay, so we need to go back and say, well, I want a bar chart. Okay, so now that seems about right. 0 hours in the gym, and that happened twice that week. All right, and 1 hour in the gym, that happened 3 times. Okay, that week, or in how many weeks they took the data. Okay, and let's go here, 3 hours, right? 3 hours 5 times. So 3 hours 5 times, and so that seems to check out. So anytime you draw a graph, always look at your data and make sure that your graph is your graph and your data match, so that you're not looking at the wrong graph. Okay. Now, if I wanted a box and whisker plot, I could just screen capture this and put this into my report if that's what you're interested in. But if you're interested in a box and whisker plot, you can select box plot and it'll give you the box plot there. Okay. If you don't like how tall this box plot looks, there's a way to fix it. We'll come to that in a second. But if you want the 5-number summary, which you actually should, because it's just not enough just to see a visual of the box plot, you actually need the numerical values. If you click on that, you get your 5-number summary. Now, it's more than 5 numbers clearly. N is 18, that is the number of data points. Okay, and then there are a whole bunch of things like mean and sigma and S and uppercase sigma, X and all that. All we need is the number of data points, which is 18, the mean, which is 2.5, and the 5-number summary, which is the minimum, the lower quartile, median, upper quartile, and the maximum. And we have all of that. Okay. So if I don't want to see that, again, I go back and click on this icon. That's the sigma, uppercase sigma. I click on that and it's gone. Okay. If I want to make this look a little prettier, I could do that by clicking on this gear wheel here, this options, and then it says box plot, and I can go to graph. Okay. And I can say, don't give me automatic dimensions because this is vertically stretched out. I can vertically squish it a little by making my Y maximum 8 and then just press enter and the graph looks much smaller. Okay. So and kind of if you're more worried about aesthetics, or if you don't want a big graph taking a lot of space in your report and you want it to look a little presentable, I would do that. Okay. Now, again, if you don't want all of that showing, again, go back and click on that gear wheel and that disappears. Okay. Now, what you could do, because you may not read the values very accurately, a grid would be helpful. So go back over here, okay, back to the settings, and then back to graph, and I would say show grid. Okay, so then I can have a grid. And then I go back there and hide that. Now I have a grid as well. Okay. Now I could copy this as is. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I am just going to shift command 4, copy the whole thing. Okay. And go to your Google Doc and you'll see that it's hovering there. Just drag it right there. Okay. Again, this is too big. So click on the image and then you'll get the border. Minimize it, not minimize it, reduce the size. Okay. And if it's floating somewhere you don't want it to be, click on this wrap text. So you can wrap that and then you can move it wherever you want it to be. Okay. So I'm just going to put it right there. Okay. Because ultimately I want to include it in the report. So I keep it there for now. It's just not enough to have the graph. You also want to have the 5-number summary. So I'm going to go back here, going to go into this sigma icon, and then I have that there. I'm going to also screen capture that, shift command 4. And there should be a way to copy this instead of screen capturing it, but I haven't figured that out. So for now, we'll just screen capture it. again, I'm going to wrap it so that I can move it wherever I want to. And I'm just going to, oops, just going to move it out of the way. No, it didn't move. Let's try it again. Just press up. I'm going to undo. Okay, that's because the cursor was there. It went right there. Okay, let me bring the cursor out and then, oh, sorry. Let's try this again. Screen capture it. Okay, very quickly come to your document and then bring it out somewhere there. I don't know, for some reason it likes to go inside one of these columns. I'm just going to Command X and maybe put it here if possible. Command V and then wrap it. Okay, now I can move it wherever I want to. But it just likes to get into that column. Okay, for some reason. Oh, it's probably because my table of values doesn't have the wrap. Okay, oops, sorry. My table of values needs to have a wrapping facility as well. So that's what's missing. Okay, sorry, I'm talking to myself. You're wondering what's going on. My table of values doesn't wrap around text, and that's why the image is not wrapping around the table. So I'm going to go to table properties, right? And then go to table, and I'm going to do the wrapping for the table as well, okay? Once I do the wrap for the table, and I can say, yeah, I can just do that and then close, and now I'll be able to move this, probably, I thought so, but sorry about that. Oh yeah, there we go. Now scenario 2 has moved up because I've enabled wrapping, so everything is going to move. That I can make that slightly bigger if you have the time. Type all the relevant data and ignore all the others. If you don't have time, you can just leave the screen capture as it is. Okay, so I'm just doing this because these are the only data that we've looked at for grade 9. 0, the first quartile or the lower quartile is 1, and that is 2.5. Upper quartile is 3, and the maximum is 6. Okay, so depending on how much time you have and how pretty you want it to look, you can either just leave the screen capture as it is. We'll understand that on an assessment you don't have time to be typing a table of values, but you do need to have the 5-number summary, okay? Right, so that was scenario 1. Now you can analyze this and you can talk about this graph, you can talk about the distribution, where the first 25% of the data is, or where the middle 50% of the, or the interquartile range, which is the middle 50% of the data. And you can discuss this and analyze this if you want to provide an analysis. Okay, but this is the basics, just how to get the graph, how to get the 5-number summary. Okay. The next one is some product or 2 products, product A and product B, have been launched in January, and the sales of the product has been recorded. Okay, as you can see, the sales is going up with a month. Okay, now we want to do a 2-variable statistical analysis. But January, February, March are, okay, those are variables. But I think it's easier for doing a regression model if those were numbers, right? If you want to get a regression equation, you want numbers over there. So we're going to write January, February, March as numbers, okay? Instead of writing it as variables, or instead of writing it as categorical variables. So let's go back to GeoGebra. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to save any of this because I've already screen captured it. I'm going to start a new file. Okay. So go to File, and I'm just going to say new. And it says, do you want to save your changes? If you want to save it, you can save it. I don't want to, so I'm just discarding it. Okay. I still have all of this. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of this. I don't know why it still has a bunch of things here. I don't want the box plot. Or maybe we'll just start. I'll just close GeoGebra and start it all over again. Okay. Okay. So there we go. And now we'll have a new spreadsheet. As you can see, the algebra window is missing, and I'm okay with that for now. Okay. On a spreadsheet, if you say 1, okay, and any number for that matter, it can be 1 or 2 or something. And then you see this, how in the corner there's a little square there. And if you hover around that corner, your cursor goes from an arrow to a plus sign, and you drag it, everything becomes a 1. Okay, instead of doing that, you can have a 1 and a 2. Okay, so I can have a 1 and a 2, and a spreadsheet automatically knows that you're looking for a pattern, and when you drag it, it'll automatically fill up the numbers for you. Okay, so that it did not do that for whatever reason. Let's try this one more time. I think because there are numbers there, it doesn't want to overwrite. Let's delete that and try it one more time. Highlight both 1 and 2, and then click and drag. Okay. And okay, so now it's 5. It's gone up to 6. Okay. I want to go up to 12. So again, 5 and 6, and then drag 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, there we go. This is the month. I'm not going to call this X. Okay, the minute I call it X, you'll end up getting a line. Okay, let me just show what I mean. Okay, if I say X and I press enter, you get a line here. Okay, Y is equal to X line. I don't want that. So I'm just going to go back here, delete that. Delete that. I double clicked on it. And then I'm just going to call it as the month M. Okay, so that's the month. Go back to your file, copy the sales. I think that should be in dollars. So that's in, I'm assuming that's in dollars. So we're going to put that. I'm going to call this product A. So I'm just going to call it A. And we want to analyze this. Okay, so I'm just going to, if I just randomly leave something highlighted and try to analyze, you won't get the correct graph. Make sure you select the entire range. Okay, so selected the entire range. Go back to this icon over here. Okay, click on that, and then go to two variable regression analysis. So you have the regression analysis over here. Okay, at least you have the scatter plot. You want the regression line. So to get the regression line, you see here it says regression model. Okay, pick linear. Okay, so you get a linear regression, and you get the equation as well. Okay, I'm going to copy this as is. Okay, the equation, I'm just going to screen capture the equation. Okay, screen capture it, go very quickly to my document while this is still available. Okay, and then just drag it and keep it somewhere there. Okay, of course you want to minimize it or make it a reasonable size. I'm going to wrap it so that I can move it wherever I want. And this is the model for A, so I'm going to put it there, even smaller, and then put it somewhere over here. Okay, so I have the equation for A. Okay, now this is important because I want to have both regression graphs on the same grid. Okay, I don't want both. When I'm comparing two different models, it's good to have both the graphs on the same grid. Unless the scales are very, very different, then of course you want to have it on two separate grids. So I'm going to now also copy the second set of data. Okay, and Command C, come back to GeoGebra. Okay, and that is that's one screen. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to leave a blank and then paste that there. Just copy all the month as it is. Okay, and just call this B. Okay, product B, product A. I want to do a regression analysis of this, okay? So I'm going to highlight all that, and I'm going to go here, and I say two variable regression analysis, and I have a regression model, okay? And if you're wondering what this is doing in the center, this is the graphics window. If you look at the view, right, the graphics, that's the graphics window, okay? So if you can take that out, or you can have that, okay? So that is two graphs, okay? You don't need that for now, but I'm going to reintroduce that in a few seconds and you'll see why, okay? And then back to this, okay? I'm going to have that regression model, okay? We already selected linear, so it's showing another linear regression model. Shift Command 4, I'm going to copy this, okay? And then come quickly to your document and drag it anywhere into the document, resize, wrap, move into, okay, so now I have these two models, okay? As you can see, the slope of this line is 31.8 and the slope here is 36, okay? So this line is rising less slowly and this line is rising faster. But this one had a head start at 473, while this did not have that strong a head start, but it's rising faster, okay? That means the initial value of the product or the sales was only 371. Maybe 371 is the number of items. I don't think it's the price. It should be the number of items, I would think, okay? Anyway, now I'm going to keep, I'm going to keep this equation in mind and come back here. If I want to have both the graphs on the same grid, I'm going to introduce the graphics view again, okay? So that's the graphics view, okay? And click anywhere here so that that's there. I'm also going to introduce the algebra view, okay? So I have the algebra view. And I'm going to have the first line, y is equal to 31 point, whatever the number was, let's go back to the 31.82 and 473.18. 31.82 plus 473.18, okay? And there was an x there, right? Times x. And then I press enter. Okay, I'll have a line here, should have a line here. Clearly it's not there because the grid looks very scale. It starts, the y-axis is or the y-intercept is 473, so there we go. So I'm going to just click and drag this way because the negative numbers don't make any sense here. I can also click on this little menu here, and then first I'm going to click escape because it's now still sitting in that select graphics view select, right? So I'm just going to press escape. If I press escape, you see that that's selected. Now, if I press this, I get the x-axis, y-axis menu, okay? I can go to my x-axis and I can give it a label as month, okay? And the y-axis, I can say number of items sold. Okay. And I can also introduce a grid, okay? I can say show grid, okay? I can have just major grid lines. If you happen to see this and it looks too cluttered, maybe you can just leave it at major grid lines, okay? And I'm going to close that so that now I have, and then I'm going to minimize this as well. So there I have my graph, okay? So this is the regression graph without the scatter plot, okay? This doesn't have any scatter plot values. There's a way to do the scatter plot also on the graphics window, but since time is short, I'm not going to spend time doing all of that. The other thing we can do is input one more equation, y equals the second regression equation, which should be right here so that we don't have to go into the document to look for it. Y equals 36.33 x plus 371. Okay, and enter. Okay, so now you have your second graph as well. Okay, if you want to see where they intersect, you can go back to this graphics view and you can, or you can actually bring this out this way, and you can also bring your months out this way. Okay, and then you can see, okay, it intersects somewhere over there. If you actually want a specific point, you can click on this point, and there's a drop-down menu. It says intersect. I say intersect, and then you select this, and then you select that, and it'll give you a point of intersection, A, and the value of A is 22.61194. That means at 22 months, 22.6 months, the number of sales of both product A and B will be equal, and both will sell for 1194 products will sell. Okay. Now, if you wanted to include this graph into your report, you could also do that. All you can do is you can, I believe, click here and then go to edit and say copy graphics view to clipboard. Now it's copied in clipboard. Come over here and then just say Command V, and you will get the graph. Again, you can resize it to make it look a little better. Okay, and there are various things you can do. You can also color code these graphs. You can do all that in GeoGebra, but we don't have the time for all of that. Okay, you can just show that, and then you can say point of intersection. 20, then 22, 0.66, comma, what is the other value? 1194.1. Okay, so you can also do things like that. Or you might say, well, I don't have time for doing all this stuff. I'm just going to copy the original graph and just put that there. I really don't have time to analyze, intersect these graphs, and I don't really want to intersect them. I'm not keen on knowing where they intersect, and that's fine. So what you could do in that case is you could just copy this model as it is. There you go, just screen capture that and then put that there. This is graph B. Okay, make sure that you give it a title and say graph B. Okay, so normally what I would do is I would put insert table. Okay, I'll put like 2 columns there, and I'd say A and then B, and then you can also put titles there if you want. I did Command X and now Command V. So I have the graph over there, and then I can come back over here, go back to my spreadsheet, which I don't see at the moment, but it should be probably buried in here. There it is. And come back and highlight these, right? And go back there to variable analysis, and then okay, minimize that, minimize this, so that you can have a better screenshot of your graph, and then also screen capture that, and then very quickly go into your document while it's still on the side, and then bring it over there, and there we go. It's right there. Okay, so you can then you can give your titles. Okay, if you don't have time to be bringing both graphs separately into your graphics view, just screen capture it right from the statistics window and just put it there, and then you can say the graphs are shown below and the point of intersection is, and you can just intersect it if you have time, if you're keen on finding where it intersects, okay? And especially that is if you want to interpret it. Right, for the third case, okay, again, I'm going to close this GeoGebra file because that's the only way for me to get rid of everything. Third case, I have 3 sets of data, same idea. I'm going to do a comparative box plot for this. So what I'm going to do is open the spreadsheet. Okay, and I don't need that window so much. Okay, copy the data, do it one by one. Then the second one. And see. Third one. The title as well. Right, let's see if I can get rid of that. Okay, maybe I'll do it from here, sorry. Let's just copy all of that. Right, so we have 3 sets of data here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all 3. Okay. And I'm going to go here and go to multiple variable analysis. And I'm going to go to stack box plots. And nothing is happening because I probably shouldn't have left a gap between all the data points here, but let's see if what happens if I actually no, let's see. Stack box plots. The first data set, this is list 1. Okay, so I'm going to pick this and say, I'm going to call this list 1. It's in the order of, well, it is listed the data correctly. So I'm just going to say, okay. Let's try this one more time. List, column order. Okay, let's say list 2. Calling this list 3. Oh, I see why. Okay, I say okay. And then maybe I should just keep them side by side. Let's try that. Shouldn't matter, but I actually haven't tried this out myself before recording the video, so let's just see. Let's try this one more time. There you go. Good. Always double check if your data matches your box plot. let's have a look. I'm just going to put a grid in here. It just makes it easier to read. Remove the automatic, actually keep the automatic and go with the grid. Okay, and get rid of that. Great. For C, it is 175 is the minimum, and 170 was the minimum for column C, and for column A, 178 was the minimum, and that looks like 178. Okay. If you want this to have a better scale, the x-axis, you come back over here and then go to graph, and you can say instead of going by 20, you can say go up by 10. Okay. Don't go for automatic dimensions, uncheck that. And you can say I want it to go up by 10 or 5 or something like that. Okay. Say or 5, and you can get more details. Okay. And then come back and click here anywhere here. Actually, you have to unclick that. So now this is going, it looks a little too cluttered. So maybe 10 would have been a better idea. Okay. So again, start box plots, go to graph, don't have automatic dimensions, and then you want to go step 10. Okay, and maybe that'll be less cluttered. Okay, and there we go. That definitely looks better. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Now you can copy that and add that as well. Can copy that and add that into your report. Okay, so there you go. Now you might also want to see the 5-number summary, right? So I'm going to move this recording menu out of the way. There we go. You also want to see the 5-menu summary. That's important, especially if you're doing a discussion. You don't want to just do a hand-waving argument. You want numerical values. So, and then bring that there, okay? And then minimize it as usual. Okay, let's look at the 5-number summary here. Go over there, okay? It's got all the values over here. So you want to make sure that you copy all of that. There should be a way to copy this, statistics. I don't think we can. I'm just going to screenshot it and then add that into the menu as well. Okay, sorry about that. I'm trying to get rid of some icons over here that are kind of overlapping on my screen. Okay. And then you can include that over here. Great, so that's all I have for you today. I'm sorry it's been a long video, but I hope that was helpful. I would highly encourage you to highly recommend that you try these out on your own. I'll make all this data available on Google Classroom. Yeah, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you. Bye-bye.